those losses down on Wall Street, our next guest says you need to use this recent volatility as your friend. Joining us now, Martiak, Senior Wealth Strategist for Premier Financial, First Allied Securities. Mark, I'm glad you're here. The market is volatile, but is it volatile because of us, or just, again, we are trading on Europe because there's nothing else to trade on?
It's all having to do with Europe. The turmoil and the uncertainty with the debt and what continues with Greece and so on, even though we have had late-breaking news, continues to add to investors' sentiment in as much as they're very concerned and nervous. That, I think, is one of the reasons why we've seen this precipitous drop over the last several days.
So, some would say dive under the bed and hide until it all settles down, but you say not a good time to be defensive. Why?
It's not a good time to be defensive because I, as a wealth advisor, I inform my clients that they should focus on total return. And in particular, they need to get a premium over inflation. If inflation is running at about 2.2% annually, they need to stay in the market, stay disciplined, and stay focused. And they will be rewarded for their patience.
But the volatility is not going anywhere because we darn well know this European mess isn't going anywhere. So you're going to continue to have this volatility in the market. How then are you going to get that appreciation? Well,
I want my clients to take a good look at their fixed income allocations in their portfolios. So I think this is a good bonding time, as I like to explain to them, essentially. Obviously, they can make tactical changes because they have certainly a satellite portion of their portfolio that they can work from. Their core investment strategies tend to stay the same, long-term investment strategies. But tactically, they can look at bonding at fixed income, and in particular, I like the municipal bond asset class. It's seen positive inflows over the last several months, in fact, dating back to last November, with only 1 week of outflows, in particular with municipal bond mutual funds. According to Lipper data, the 4-week rolling average has been about $252 million in inflows. So that's one asset class I really like a lot.
Okay. You also, interestingly, you like financials, right? You think they're in the process of recovering. But with regard to Europe, what about exposure to Europe? And there's a lot of uncertainty about rules and regulations hanging out there, too. It seems to be a tough time for financials.
It is. And, well, that's the big question that's weighing on investors' minds and my clients' minds as well.
Yeah.
We're unclear as to what to expect with the European financials and the European Central Bank. I believe, and in fact, I tell my clients, we think Greece could exit the European Union in the not-so-distant future. Financials here, however, have continued to build on their strength. And I think they've worked out a lot of their problems that they have been dealing with since 08, 09, since the subprime crisis.
Let's talk about your going forward a little bit next quarter. This quarter earnings season was fantastic. About 85% of the S&P 500 reported, about 70% beat. What do you see going forward over the next 3 months?
Over the next 3 months, I see a very quiet period, and I also believe that we will have increased volatility. And as I said at the onset, or as you had mentioned at the onset, volatility can be your friend. I think we can see the volatility, prepare for it, and when the downturn does come, if we need to tactically shift out of some equities, whether it's to take profits off the table or just to reallocate into a fixed income asset class as a diversifier, that's one, and to give us some good yield and some good income.
And quickly, it's an election year, so there's a lot of wait and see as well, isn't there?
There is. That's a very good point. Wait and see over the next 3 months, I would add. Over the next 6 months, we have a lot needs to play out in terms of Europe and what's going on there. We need to understand what's the linkage between the markets here and Europe. So far, the news, when it comes out, it really concerns investors. However, when you have some good news over there, that provides transparency and instills confidence in the markets.
We need some good news here at home, I think.
Certainly
Then we can trade here on our own markets. Mark, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Mark Martiak.
Good stuff.